The boss jock has entered the building. You are listening to the Sportcat Show.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. You have the one, the only Sportcat. I am here with you live on the YouTubes and in Australia on Radio X and Dare Talk Radio. Welcome. Good morning to all of you. And we can't forget our friends over at Yerg's Radio. Thank you. Everybody, come over. We encourage you. We need you. We beg you. And find us on the YouTubes. Just search out the Sportcat shows and you'll find us here. You'll find our chat. We got some great folks in it. Chris is my loyal listener. He's always here to make sure I don't do anything too stupid. So hello, Chris. Welcome. And well, some updates. Saturday rather, I packed everything up from my studio and came back and got home and my office is a wreck. My studio is an absolute wreck, but all the settings worked. Everything appears to be functioning. I appear to be live on the tube and everywhere else in the world. So that's good news. And aside for the studio looking like crap, I guess it'll all work out. So some quick programming notes, besides for the fact that I am in Atlanta and I probably have a little bit different sound, hopefully better and quieter, to be determined. Next week, we're going to be making some program changes. Any loyal listeners and followers know that I had a lot of family things going on this year, and well, we're just going to continue that tradition. The grandkids are coming into town from Vermont, so we will have a house full, and Mrs. Sportcat is commandeering my studio and turning it into a nursery. So next week, I probably, as it stands right now, will not be doing any broadcasts. I'll be spending time with my grandkids and hoping they don't destroy the house, but we'll see as we go. So Chris says, looks good to him, but his place is a disaster. They have piled mail. I haven't been here much this year. And they have piled mail on my desk over there on the bed. And then I've gotten books from authors and packages and all kinds of, of course, y'all know I collect challenge coins. I got a ton of them. And in the meantime, they tried to do some construction here. They hung up 3 nice shelves. I have nothing on them yet. So trust me, I got plenty of books to make do. So, all right. Well, KG is here. He's like, wow, it was 45. Wow. What is it? I don't think even when Hellhound this morning, it's just now 72 in Atlanta. Last night she gave me that puppy dog face, the one where, come on, I want to sleep on the bed with you instead of her bed where she has a double sized bed, 2 of them. And she even has her own private fan since she gets hot so often. So she was giving me these eyes and wanted up on the bed. And so I was like, okay, fine. 2:00, she woke me up for no apparent reason. I thought she wanted to go out, but apparently she just wanted to get more comfortable on the bed and basically stand on me. 4:00, Mrs. Sportcat woke me up going to work. And at 8:00, she wanted to go out. And I'm like, okay, I'm done with it. I'll take my 6 hours of sleep and move on. So, but don't worry. I have some help to get me through the day.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
That's right. I am all jacked up on Mountain Dew. All right. Well, let's see what we're doing here. Let's bring up a screen or two. Let's kick this thing off because it's Monday. No, it wasn't the right screen. It's Monday, and as you know, a lot of stuff happened in the world while we were gone. Some of it, hell, I don't even know. So let's see what we got here. And I'm going to have to get used to pushing buttons a different way now. So, all right. So today in history, well, today is September 8th. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm on the wrong screen. We started off wrong here. Hold on a minute. All right. As much as I like this, what button did I push to get out of this? There we go. As much as I like this screen, we have to go to, where are we going? We're going to this one. Here, how about this one? Let's welcome everybody. It's 13:13 on the East Coast. Well, that means that in Alaska, it's 9:13 a.m., Honolulu, 7:13 a.m., Phoenix in L.A., 10:13, Denver, L.A., Chris, good afternoon in Chicago, and good afternoon to my New York listeners. And we're going to say good morning to everyone in Australia. It is 3:13 in Sydney. Brisbane, you're 3:13 as well. Perth, well, you're at 1:13. Goodness gracious, you're keeping me up all night. And I guess, did it not update? I don't know where it went. I guess it didn't update from ones I had added while I was... Okay, well, good morning to everyone. We'll just leave it at that. I'll fix that. It's as you can see here. Hello, Wendell. Where are you? Chris says I'm a Ginger fan, so she has too. Yeah. She kept me up all night. Yeah, so you can have her. That she doesn't. Never mind. She just likes to keep me up. All right. Well, we see it's a full moon out there. Oh, man, that bookmark isn't even saved now. I think. What is going on? And the sun is full and it's rising over the west. I wondered why it looked different. There's a reason. I don't have it bookmarked on this. How do you not bookmark it in Chrome on your laptop and then it's not the same on your... This is annoys me. So, but I did add this nice, cool graphic. This is what the Earth looks like from space, and you can see all the. I set the main setting as if you were viewing it from Washington, and you can spin it around and see what the sky would look like. You can see where it's light and dark. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I don't know why it mesmerized me. So, but there you go. So there's that. What the hell? I really thought, where's our moon stuff? None of it's here. Okay, well, we'll just go on. Hey, Denise, welcome to the show. Welcome. We're glad you're here. We missed you. You missed me complaining about being in Atlanta and everything's changed. So, but it'll work out. All right, well, today is September 8th. Good Lord, it's Monday. And Wendell says he didn't see Orion. Well, Wendell, I'll go back. It's there. It's usually comes up in, what was that be? This time of year, it comes up in the northeast, maybe. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Today in history, in 70, the Roman army under General Titus completes the siege of Jerusalem by destroying what remained after 4 months of occupation and plundering. 1380, the Battle of something, I don't know. Moscow's greatest monarch, Dmitry, defeats the Mongols, beginning the decline of the Tartars. I was going to say, I thought it said traitors. 1504, Michelangelo's statue of David is unveiled in Florence. And we won't go on talk about the fact that I'm showing a Wong. 1565. It's still Monday, right? Yeah, it's just Monday. Yes, Chris, it's allowed. Well, hell, I don't know. We'll find out. They'll send me an email. Somebody will complain. My stalker will probably complain that he saw a penis on my show. Fuck him. So, so I don't care. It's Monday. What? Nothing's
Everybody
working.
want to see my schlong.
There we go. So 1565, the first permanent European settlement in the U.S. is founded in St. Augustine, Florida. It's on the west side of Florida. I would have thought it'd been on the east. Dutch surrenders in 1664, the colony of New Netherland, including New York and 300 English soldiers. Well, nice of them. 1941, the siege of Leningrad by German, Finnish, and eventually Spanish troops began during World War II. Battle lasted for 28 months as the Soviets repelled the invasion. Well over 1 million lives are lost. 1970, Black September hijackings began as 3 airliners are hijacked and destroyed by the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. 2022, Queen Elizabeth II died at Balmoral Castle after ruling for 70 years as UK's longest serving monarch. Her eldest son inherits the throne, and we know who that is, King Charles III. And today in TV, 1960, the nationwide release of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, starring Anthony Perkins and Janet Leigh. 1965, small ads in Daly's Variety and Holiday Reporters attract 437 young men in forming the world's first manufactured boy band, the Monkees. 3 are chosen, with British actor-singer Davy Jones already cast. 1986, well, Oprah broadcast her first time nationally. That's a shame. 2001, Kylie Minogue, I don't know, it's something like that. She released her album Can't Get Out of My Head, the biggest hit of her career. And did you know Star Trek premiered on NBC, starring the great William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy, September 8th, 1966. And today is famous birthdays: Richard the Lionheart, Frederick Mistral, and Tiff, I don't know who he is. Let's just talk about the people we know. Bernie Sanders, he's 84. He's almost old enough to become president. Peter Sellers, he was a Pink Panther, wasn't he? Patsy Cline, Avicii, Martin Freeman, Pink, and Alessandra. I don't know, he's 38. So there you go. Fun fact, draft DNA study published in Current Biology reveals there are 4 species, not just ones. Interesting. What did Chris says? Whoever created the Monkees TV show had to be perpetually high. Yes. And I think there's only one song by them I like. Famous Wedding, 1761, the marriage of George III of the United Kingdom to Charlotte Mecklenburg-Strauss, Queen Charlotte. 1864, business magnate John Rockefeller, 25, weds Laura Spelman. 1897, Confederate General James Longstreet, he was 76 at the time, weds Helen Dortch, the governor's mansion in Atlanta. And famous divorces, 2009, 90s pop sensation Peter Andre divorces glamour model Kate Price due to unreasonable behavior after 3 years. Okay. Famous deaths. Let's see. I can't pronounce any of them. Huey Long and Elizabeth II. And now I'm going to have this song stuck in my head all day. All right, let's just move on here. We'll find some other chaos to talk about. Let's see. We'll go back and just check and make sure we didn't miss anything. 1429, Joan of Arc attacks Paris during the Hundred-Year War. The war stemmed from the issue of French secession. 2 royal houses, the English House of Planget and the French House of Laus, that's kind of German, claimed to be the rightful heirs to the throne. The conflict sparked widespread fear and violence across France. Joan of Arc, a young peasant woman, claimed to have visions from God, directing her to defend France from English rule. Charles VII, the future king of France, believed in her divinity and sent Joan of Arc to battles across the country. Joan of Arc eventually led an unsuccessful campaign to capture Paris after English and rival French forces took the city. The siege was unsuccessful and Joan of Arc was captured a year later. 1664, New Amsterdam became New York. Becomes New York after Dutch governor Peter Stuyvesant surrenders to the British. He had hoped to put up more of a fight over the capital of New Netherland, but failed to rally his subjects. New Amsterdam was renamed after the Duke of York, who led the British attack. Jack the Ripper in 1888 kills his second victim. Annie Chapman, believed to be the second victim of serial killer Jack the Ripper, murdered and mutilated while trying to earn enough money for a bed at a boarding house, likely through prostitution. Jack the Ripper went on to kill at least 3 more women, and to date has never been identified. 1900, a hurricane levels Galveston, Texas. A Cat 4 devastates Galveston, one of the worst natural disasters in American history, killing between 6,000 and 8,000 people. Winds tore through the city at 135 miles an hour, destroyed 3,600 buildings, leaving 1 in 4 residents homeless. The Delano grape strike, well, it began today. Philip American grape workers in Delano, California go on strike, supported by activists Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta. The strike lasts for 5 years and ends in 1970. In the end, Delano growers agreed to raise wages, provide a union health plan, and to protect the workers against pesticides. Interesting. My step-grandfather was involved in all of that. He was he worked out in the fields picking grapes. He did something more than that. I know I'm probably selling him short, but yeah, that was my California grandfather's side or grandmother's side. Today in history, September 8th, President Ford pardons former President Nixon. 1 month after taking office, President Ford granted a full, free, and absolute pardon to the former President Richard Nixon for any crimes committed during his presidency. Interesting. And there's the great penis. And let's see. The towering marble statue of David was unveiled to the public in Florence. We talked about the 1565 Spanish expedition, forming the first permanent European settlement in North America. And let's see. In 1935, Senator Huey Long was fatally shot at the Louisiana State Capitol building. 1941, the 900-day siege of Leningrad by German forces began. We talked about that. And in 1951, a peace treaty with Japan was signed by 49 nations in San Francisco. 1964, public schools in Prince Edward County, Virginia, reopened after being closed for 5 years by officials attempting to prevent court-ordered racial desegregation. And we talked about Oprah. And let's see. 2016, federal regulators fined Wells Fargo for $185 million, alleging the bank's employees allegedly opened millions of unauthorized accounts for their customers in order to meet aggressive sales sale. In other words, home sales. And Chris says, I remember the days when the president actually had to perform pardons and his staff didn't auto-pen them without his knowledge. It's a good point. Fair. So, fair. And back before we had TV, they would take pictures of it so that you could prove that he did. But now we just hide behind a wall. Well, it's international. Every day has a day. Today is International Literacy Day. I could use some of that. It's Actors Day. It's National Ampersand Day. Which one is the ampersand? Let's see. I'm going down a shiny squirrel road already. Come on, open. The National Ampersand Day is celebrated on September 8th year to honor, the and, a Latin character, and a logogram that depicts the conjunction and. The ampersand has been in use since the 1st century AD. Although most people don't give much thought to the symbol, it has a long and illustrious history, even if you don't consider yourself a language nerd. Well, there you go. Interesting. I would have never guessed that. All right, let's get back on the train here and away from Ooh Shiny. I got a show to make it through today. It's National Boss Employee Exchange Day, National Dog Walker Appreciation Day, National Iguana Awareness Day. I wonder if in Key West they stopped shooting them for a day. National Pediatric Hematology and Oncology Nurses Day. I used to be some of that. Our Lady of Meritexil Day. Pardon Day. Okay. Star Trek Day. We'll talk about that again here in a minute. World Literacy. World Physical Therapy Day. All right. Let's see. What else do we got here? It annoys me that I don't have the bookmarks that I have on my laptop. It just annoys me. Let's see. We talked about Star Trek Day. Let's look at birthdays real quick, and then we'll jump on to something that might be important. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. All right. 1841 to 1882, the assassin that was convicted of assassinating President Garfield, Charles Guiteau, Ida Henriette Hyde, inventor of the microelectrode, 1857 to 1945. Seth Weeks, considered the first American known to write a mandolin concerto. Jimmy Rogers, the great country musician and yodeler. I didn't know he yodeled. Considered to be the father of country music. Grace Medalist, author of one of the best-selling novels of all time, Peyton's Place. I don't think I've read that one. If I did, we probably in school and I don't remember it. Yes, Denise is reminding everybody that is watching. She spies there's 6 of you. Good eye, Denise. Come over and hit that thumbs up button. Give us a like. It only takes a second. If you want to be a real nerd, you want to you find the hyper. There's a button there. I need to go check it out. There's a button supposedly they added. And Wendell say, how do you lose an employee if you pay them well? Wendell, there's lots of ways to lose employees. So just ask the federal government. They do tons of it every day. Let's see. Patsy Cline, country singer of Crazy. Oh, God, that song's not going to get stuck in my head now. I Fall to Pieces and Walking After Midnight. Adrian Cronau, Vietnam Air Force sergeant and radio host who inspired the movie Good Morning Vietnam. I loved that movie. That was a great movie. Actually, that was another reason I liked deciding to get behind the microphone. Ronald Pigpen McCran, harmonica and electronic organ player who founded the Grateful Dead. Didn't know that. Benjamin Orr, bassist and co-founder of alternative rock band The Cars. Esther Sands Takichu. I'm sorry, I probably pronounced that wrong, ma'am. She's a scientist and engineer who invented batteries for the implantable cardio converter. Yeah, it's definitely something that's needed. Ruby Bridges, the first Black student to attend a formerly all-white only elementary school, William Franz Elementary School in Louisiana. Alicia Beth Moore, contemporary glam rock singer of hits like Get the Party Started, Try and Give Me a Reason. Now, okay, you can Get the Party Started can be stuck in my head. So, hello, Bob. Welcome. How are you? We're glad you're here. Thank you for coming over and finding us. Let's see. Memorable days. 1920, the first U.S. air mail service begins in New York City to San Francisco. I wonder what the price of an original stamp was. Richard Gurley Drew invents Scotch tape. That's definitely. The comic strip Blondie made its first appearance. I like Blondie. Wendell, what was your question? How do you lose it? Who's the other two? Ooh, I don't know, Wendell. Now there says there's 7. So go do your super sleuth. Ernest Hemingway's novel Old Man in the Sea is published. Great novel. 1966, Star Trek premieres. First aired episode, The Man Trap on TV. 1892, the Pledge of Allegiance is first recited for the first time. 1974, President Ford pardons former President Richard Nixon for any crimes he may have committed. Ellis Island historical site opens in 1990, and Blue's Clues debut came on for the first time on Nickelodeon. Chris says, my favorite guy in Good Morning was the guy with the shiny green suit. Was he the guy that was trying to break in when he locked himself in at the end of the movie? So that was great. Let's see. It was happy. I got wished a happy Grandparents' Day yesterday. I feel old. And talking about Star Trek, I saw this. It's 59 years, 14 movies, 12 different TV series. It's boldly gone where no one has ever gone before. It is Star Trek, and today is Star Trek Day. I think everybody has their favorite Star Trek. Mine was Voyager, and I've watched some of the cartoon one on Paramount, but it didn't really stick. But yeah, probably Voyager was my favorite out of all of them. I'm not really a huge Star Trek or Star Wars fan. So, all right, let's look at the almanac. I was looking at this. I was like, man, it seems like I do more stuff. Yeah, probably I'll get through my day better now. See, 251st day of 2025, the 81st day of summer. In 1664, we talk about New York becoming, well, what's now? Well, they surrendered Manhattan and the surrounding territory to the British. Star Trek started today. Gerald Ford, we talked about that. And we talked about the Queen. We hit a lot of the birthdays. Claude Pepper, we didn't. U.S. Senator, he was a U.S. Senator. Sid Caesar, well, he was a comedian and actor. Grace Metalius, we did mention her. And let's see, Peter Sellers, comedian and actor. Patsy Cline, Bernie Sanders, Ruby Bridges, the civil rights activist. Pink, does she have a whole name or is she just Pink? Wiz Khalifa, rapper. Avicii, and Gaten Matozu, I don't know. Today's fact, more than 8,000 people are estimated to have died in the 1900 Galveston hurricane, making it the deadliest natural history in American history. In 1998, Martin McGuire of the St. Louis Cardinals hits his 62nd home run of the season, breaking the record held by Roger Maris since 1961. In January of 2010, he admitted that, well, he'd been using steroids during that season. Well, Bob says, this is so boring. I bring hate. This is why do you do a stream, this weirdo? Well, I'm not really sure. Are you trying to tell me that I'm boring you? Or that you hate what I do? Or that I'm a weirdo? Please clarify. Oh, Bob, what can we do with you? And let's see today's quote. We may not all be equally guilty, but we are all equally responsible for building a decent and just society. Today's number is 370, the approximate mean number in meters of 99,942. Okay, a near-Earth asteroid to be studied by NASA's spacecraft. It was launched on this day in 2016 for 18 months after its close approach in April of 2029. Today's moon between full and last quarter. Well, Denise is going to get on my one viewer, and Wendell says I do all of the above. I'm guilty of being all the above. Yeah, I'm weird. I'm all kinds of things. Rick Davies, the lead singer of Supertramp, died today at 81. I don't know if anybody is a fan of Supertramp or not, but that is my favorite song in the entire world. Take the Long Way Home. So he passed away today at 81. Let's see. What else do we got in here? I just got all kinds of things. Well, you might want to take notice to this one, Bob, because frozen vegetables have been recalled due to listeria. I don't want you to get sick. You don't have to like me, but you still need to get sick. Indico Potatoes is recalling its peas and carrots, mixed veggies, due to listeria contamination. They were sold in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Maryland, D.C., and Florida between July 18th and August 4th, 2025. Do not eat these vegetables. Return them to a store for a refund or call the company. So it's based out of New York, and they've recalled their bag of frozen veggies after finding trace amounts of listeria. All right, so can make young people sick and extreme people with weakened immune systems like Wendell and, well, the elderly too. I didn't want to call him out though. So there you go. All right, there's your safety or health tip for the day. You can take your quarter and keep it. So thank you, Denise. Chris says, Bob, listeria is neither unimportant nor boring. All right. Well, there's been 2 Georgians sickened by salmonella. My gosh. At least 2 people in Georgia are among 16 across 10 states who have gotten sick in ongoing salmonella outbreak tied to ready-eat meals made by metabolic meals. And we see there, well, I don't know which state you're in, but what the hell, color code. There's 7 people have been hospitalized. No deaths have been confirmed. All right, so I'm going to assume that the blue is bad and green is good. I don't know. They really should provide a key to this chart. Why do they know? We need to know. Number of people. Okay, well, that's important to know, but it doesn't say an exact number. 1 or 3. Okay, so if you're in Texas, there's 1. If you're in Missouri, there's 3. Georgia, you must only have 2. So there you go. Bob, I hope you're not in any of those places. I don't want you to get sick. So we worry about you, Bob. All right, so let's see. We'll move on. What does Wendell say? Only weekend give me a hard time. It's Monday, and I'm just kind of lethargic today. Thank you, gender. All right, well, this one is especially important if you're out in the woods, Bob. Wendell goes out in the woods a lot, so he needs to pay attention because there's a deadly kissing bug disease. It's on the rise across the U.S. The CDC, God knows we trust them for all of our information. It's a blood-sucking kissing bug. It's now carried a deadly parasite across 32 U.S. states. The CDC warns hundreds of thousands of people likely are already infected with the parasitic disease Chagas without realizing it. Only 29 confirmed infections were reported in the U.S. between 2000 and 2018. The CDC is urging authorities to reclassify the disease as an endemic in the U.S. in the hope of increasing awareness, enabling more people to receive timely treatment. So, Bob, if you're out in the woods, be very careful around bugs. They can kill you. Most people living with the Chagas disease are unaware of their diagnosis until it's too late to have effective treatment, warns infectious disease epidemiologist Judith Courier from the University of California, LA. Left untreated, the parasite can slowly damage the heart or other organs in up to 30% of infections. So it's a bad bug. So called for their tendency to bite human faces. I did not know that. Kissing bugs are flat-bodied, inch-long insects found throughout America, also known as the vampire bugs. I did not know they were called that. The tiny arthropods feed on blood, transferring to cruisin in their feces. Ooh. Up to 8 million people are infected. Bob, I hope you're not one of them. With the protozoan parasite globally, most in Latin America, but as temperatures warm, the kissing bug's favorable environments are expanding, and about half of the bugs carry the parasite. With global warming, oh yeah, there it is, there's concern among scientists that the borders for where endemic infections occur are shifting northwards, say infectious diseases physician Joanne Shaman. Lack of data means this trend is yet to be confirmed, but the new CDC report argues the high occurrence of the disease in dogs and its continued presence in wildlife indicate that, well, it's well established in the U.S. So if you live in the South, well, you're red there. That means that there's already animal cases and very high chance you could have it if you've been out in the woods and bit by a vampire bug. And if you see, it is going northward. It's made it to Maryland, so good Lord. All right. Pets and wildlife as reserves for the disease, according to the University of Florida. Infectious disease scientist Norman Beatty and colleagues caution the parasite can be contracted through contaminated food, blood products, organ donations. Once infected, the mothers pass it on to their unborn babies. While many people experience no symptoms after infection, some can develop severe eye swelling and a fever, fatigue, body aches, headache, loss of appetite, diarrhea, and vomiting. If the disease is not discovered and treated within a 2-month acute phase, the parasite can settle into an infected person's heart and digestive muscles and cause digestive, cardiac, and nervous system damage. The disease is definitely underdiagnosed, according to cardiologist Salvador Hernandez. She told Suzanne Rust at the LA Times, if we screened for it and caught it early, most patients could be cured. The problem is we don't, and we end up dying, or requiring terribly expensive medical care. Well, make sure to wear your insect repellent, seal cracks around your windows and doors, keep clutter like wood piles away from your home to reduce the encounter of the kissing bugs. So, and let's see me catch up here. Denise says she steps on bugs, especially the lanternfly. You're talking about lightning bugs. And Wendell says, I've seen that in the assassin beetle as well. Wendell, are you trying to get you? And Chris says, that bug looks stepped on already. Well, it needs to be. I remember as kids seeing them all the time, but I got to say, I don't recall seeing any now. But I'm probably outside less now than I was as a kid. Oh, as a kid, we were out all the time. Chris says, the bug, okay, I said that. I brought this up because this is going to hit up a story we're going to cover here in a bit. If you're one of those states that, well, starts with California and ends, well, it's California. They're telling you to start wearing masks. The end of the world is coming again. But an allergy spray may help prevent that. Despite widespread vaccination rates and established population immunity, the severe acute respiratory system, SARS, severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2, continues to mutate and circulate throughout the environment. This emphasizes a critical need for effective prophylactic therapies, which means, Bob, if you don't know, you want to do that in front of. So let's see. Bob says, this is probably a special day for you streaming. For one person, that's sad. Well, no, Bob, it's not a special day. It's a Monday. So that's all. Despite what we talked about that. Bob, don't distract me. This emphasizes the critical need for effective prophylactic therapy, particularly for high-risk groups, the elderly and the immunocompromised. Hope that's not you, Bob. But in recent studies published by the JAMA, which is the Journal for American Medical Association, they determined the safety and efficiency of a nasal spray, azelastine. It's an antihistamine, so it's over the counter. It's an H1 receptor receptor antagonist. It's widely used over the counter as a nasal spray for allergies. Research studies suggest that azelastine exhibits antiviral properties against respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, and influenza A, H1N1, with several randomized clinical trials confirming SARS-2 reduces the viral load. So just be prepared that this will probably be pulled off the shelves if you don't buy it soon, because we remember what happened when there was that last bug going around. They started pulling things that could help us off the shelf. So might want to pay attention to this one, Bob. If you don't get anything else from this show, you should get that you need to go to the grocery store and get this, because you're probably really old and your immune system's probably really compromised, kind of like your brain cell. So you want to protect it as much as you can. So go get you some azelastine. So it hasn't been peer reviewed yet, but it is headed that way. So, all right, let's see. We talked about this one last week. Was it? I don't remember. But 3-Eye Atlas, well, they got another picture of it, and it sure don't look much different than the last blob picture we saw. Brand new image of interstellar comet 3I Atlas shows it's becoming more active and getting longer as it approaches the sun. New image shows it's getting longer. How do you get longer? I guess it closer up, they get a better picture of it. Well, it's got a glowing coma. It's not a comma, it's coma. It also provides new data revealing about what it's made of. Well, what we know so far, well, it's a friggin' interstellar comet. It's formed around a distant star in deep space outside of ours. The vast majority of comets we observe in the sky originated from within. This one did not. That's why it's called 3I. It's the third interstellar to come visit us. So, and we think it's probably aliens. So, since this discovery has been imaged by some of the world's most powerful telescopes on the ground and in space, including the Hubble and the James Webb. Through observations of the comet, scientists have learned a lot about its chemical makeup, its size, and trajectory. There's evidence that it could be the oldest comet we've ever seen. It's due to make a pass of Sun, Earth, and Mars, and Jupiter may be visible for rovers and orbiters at Mars and Jupiter in the coming months. The Gemini South reveals it has a glowing tail too, but it is not interstellar. So 3I is very interesting. Hopefully it's not aliens. Hope it's not aliens. It would be bad. So if you missed the blood moon, well, tonight's a big night. You can go out and see the moon and Saturn, side by side, with Neptune if you look close. Last night, 7 September, a blood moon lunar eclipse was visible in the evening sky if you were on the other side of the planet, like our friends down in Australia. If you missed it, tonight there's another chance to see a large bright moon just after full. And what's more, it will be joined by Saturn. The two bodies will be very close together in the night sky and will make for a beautiful naked eye pairing of the moon and the ringed planet. If you look closely, you can see Neptune in there too. So if you're out looking at the sky, take a look up and see if you see it. Last night, my grandson kept wanting to go out and look at the blood moon. He's like, you're not going to see it here. All right, so this story, it went viral over the weekend, and, well, I don't know that we still know who the Phillies Karen is. But Drew Feltwell, he's a Pennsylvania dad, explained why he handed the Souvenirs home run ball to Phillies Karen as he relives confrontational moment wanting to set a moral standard for his son Lincoln. Now, before I go off on a rant, 2 other shows I follow have made this guy into basically a monster and a weak man, and that the kid is going to be made fun of in school because his dad shook in fear and then gave the ball over to a nagging woman, Karen. She wasn't a nagging woman. She was a bitch. So let's just be honest. So, fan attending a baseball game at the Sun now speaks of the viral moment when he was confronted by the Phillies Karen, demanding that the man's young son give up the ball he had seconds earlier just given to the boy, insisting that the souvenir home run was rightfully hers. This bit of YouTube video has been analyzed, zoomed in. Her hand is nowhere close. It's a row in front of her. If you go, it's all over the place. But at any rate, if you're ever into a ball game and a home run gets hit into the outfield, there's a scramble in 2 different directions, one to get the ball and others to get away from it. And it's usually a fight when it hits, if somebody doesn't make a clean snatch. If it hits the chairs and bounces around or starts rolling on the concrete going down, well, it's just a struggle to get it. I have caught home run balls. So, well, in the immediate moments after the handing of the ball to his son Lincoln, the unidentified woman has since been dubbed the Phillies Karen on the web. Well, it's a it's a word for entitled white woman. Instead, the ball was hers, telling the dad that ball had landed in her hands first and demanded it to be returned to her. Well, unless her hand looks like a blue chair, don't think so, Karen. The dad barraged by a volley of incriminations of theft and unfair sportsmanship, eventually relented, giving the ball to the insistent woman. "No, you took it at me," you can hear her say. "You took it from me. It was in my hands," which no, it was not. That's one good thing about these cameras. Everybody's got one. So what led to, well, she was widely condemned for her hostile behavior and self-entitlement, and the net is exploded over the weekend. It's been the top story it's crazy. He told NBC 10 in Philadelphia that the woman was in the seat behind them, telling the outlet, "I don't know if she was standing up, maybe, but I was watching the ball from almost the bat to where it went into the seat." He recounted the confrontation after the woman walked up to him. "I didn't even see her walked up, and she reached for my arm," which, by the way, is battery. "She yelled in my ear, 'That's my ball,' super loud." He said that he had asked the woman why she was there. She's also asking her to go away. She says, "That's my ball. You stole it. Those are from our seats." You don't own them. The stadium does. "And I was there. Nobody in that seat." He told the outlet. It bounced. It hit the seat and bounced. He caught it on the bounce. He said that he did not remember what the woman had said, adding that there was a lot of eyes on them and the ball was with his son. He said the woman just wouldn't stop. So he said, "I had a fork in the road, either do something I was probably going to regret or be a dad and show him how to de-escalate the situation. And that's where I went," adding that he was not very happy to give the ball to the woman, but they could not win. I see. That is a statement that has annoyed so many people because it's been echoed by his son. In other words, the dad was being the bigger person in the stadium in order to diffuse the conflict. That's the opinion of the scallywag. But not all hope was lost. The Marlins, well, they saw this. They approached him, offering him a ballpark goodie bag. Then he got to meet Harrison Bader, who signed a bat and posed for photos with him. So it got better after that. The story doesn't go on to say, but Camping World owner got him, well, not just him, his family, tickets to the World Series this season and a brand new RV. Let's see. Chris says, hold on, let me back up here. Thanks, Denise. And Chris says it was so fortunate COVID, I'm sorry, took off those 4 years in between when it didn't matter. True. That's true. He won an election while being locked in the basement. Let's see. Chris says she should have been satisfied just owning her husband's balls. Yeah. Yeah. And did they banned her from do we know who she is yet? I haven't seen who she was yet. The first one come out and said that she was an administrator at a school system, but then they came out and said no, they're falsely accusing her and that it was someone else. I don't know. As far as I know, they still haven't identified her. But if TikTok has their way, they'll find her. All right, this comes to us from Newsweek. This is a long, boring one, but if it helps one person out, well, I'm okay with that. A woman was told she was depressed since childhood. 22 years later, she was diagnosed. A millennial woman who spent most of her life believing that she was depressed has revealed the true medical condition behind her struggles. Lisa Healy from Ontario battled decades of fatigue, weakness, low energy, which affected her mood and was often described as sadness. She worked in commercial real estate. She assumed the stress of the job was weighing her down, prompting her to move to Bali, Indonesia. Ooh, that's a long move, hoping a new lifestyle would ease the symptoms. However, it didn't work. I had no excuse. I'm literally unemployed on an island of gods. What's wrong with me? Well, it turns out she has an iron deficiency and it can mimic depressive symptoms and lead to a misdiagnosis, a diagnosis. The overlapping symptoms of iron deficiency anemia and depression are fatigue, low energy, poor concentration, brain fog, irritability, sleep disturbance, headaches, reduced exercise tolerance. So there you go. let's start looking. Well, in Bali, she spent time with her mother, who had lived there with similar symptoms for years. Where I was a weeping mess, she was a dedicated machine. She recently discovered that her body doesn't process iron correctly. Her iron and ferritin are normal on any test, but it doesn't get to where it needs to go in the body due to several other deficiencies in a hormonal imbalance. I was like, hey, my iron and ferritin are usually normal. What if, and I went off to the endocrinologist for the first time. She looked at me and said, she looked at the thick pile of labs I'd done and diagnosed me with latent anemia. If there's a family history of not processing iron, it may be a rare inherited case, which is seen in 1 in 1 million cases. Most doctors never see this condition in their lifetime. But if it is there, it needs to be seen by a hematology specialist or a genetics specialist. What is latent anemia? Well, it occurs when the blood doesn't have enough hemoglobin to carry the oxygen, most often due to iron deficiency. This makes red blood cells small and pale, which causes fatigue, weakness, and shortness of breath. So she said some people have iron deficiency without anemia, so their hemoglobin is normal on a blood test, but they have low stores of iron. This is what people mean by latent anemia. A lifetime of symptoms include general weakness, fatigue, frequent unexplained illnesses, persistent low energy, apathy, sad mood, feeling cold, dizziness and low blood pressure, pale in appearance, strong cravings for salt and fatty foods. I was mostly fine, she said, adding that she never had a diagnosis. The symptoms continued into her teens and adulthood, and she sought medical advice repeatedly. Despite this, she was told her struggles were likely psychological, so quick to give him Prozac. No one formally diagnosed me with depression, she told Newsweek, but multiple therapists all agreed it's depression. The argument was, what if they put this label on me? It might hinder my future opportunities with no upside. Well, that didn't stop me from being very outspoken about my struggles online. I encourage many people to seek help through social media, through her social media presence at that time, and some good came of it. Other contenders for why I'm so weak and sad all the time were scoliosis, which is a rotation of the vertebra in the neck, preventing proper blood circulation. That's very true. Hypothyroidism, her labs were on the lower end, but they were still normal. She took a small dose of medicine and, well, they just changed. But that didn't stop the problem. And that's just why we're here. That's just how we are, as her mother was told. Wow. If that doesn't describe a lot of people, during the C pandemic, she began taking antidepressants. It did very little with the mood, but not the physical weakness and apathy. As soon as the world opened up, I got off the medication and threw myself into fitness, thinking I'd heal myself with the power of protein and endorphins. Despite a healthy lifestyle, supplements, regular exercise, her blood work didn't reveal deficiencies until one test in Canada showed her iron levels were critically low. It kept on going like that until the last round of labs I got in Canada. My iron was in the red, she said, referring to the body lacking sufficient iron to produce hemoglobin for red blood cells. Today, she takes high doses of iron along with other nutrients such as B12, omega-3, and 6, vitamin D, magnesium, and iodine. Be careful with the iodine. She said, I'm supposed to redo all my blood work soon to check how things are after 3 months. So fingers crossed that I'll be able to remove some of the pills and introduce lifestyle changes that my body needs. It's hard to describe it in any other way, she told Newsweek. After a couple weeks, my new medication regime, I've opened my eyes one morning and I felt alive. Suddenly I have the energy to just go do things. I'm way more emotionally stable, not crying every hour, not taking minor issues at work as reasons life is not worth living. I'm not irrationally joyous all the time. I still have things I'm unhappy about, but it's a different type of unhappy. It's less all-consuming. So If anybody has those symptoms, you want to get tested for latent anemia. And it's probably not a test your primary care provider will be willing to get you. So you're going to have to see probably a specialist and maybe even a gene doctor. So, yeah. But if you have those type of symptoms and the pills aren't helping, try something else. Don't give up. All right, so this comes to us from Zero Hedge. We talked about this 2 weeks ago, and the media really wasn't talking about it, but the White House deputy chief has said it's a massive scandal they've uncovered in D.C. crime. The White House deputy chief, Stephen Miller, he says it's an ongoing DOJ investigation into whether Washington, D.C. officials manipulated crime statistics in the process of uncovering a massive scandal. At the press conference, he told reporters that when the results of the investigation are finally that, it will stun you. Even though D.C. had the worst crime in America, honestly measured, it dramatically understated how bad it was. If you recall, there were several whistleblowers that came out and said that they were encouraged by senior leaders at the Metropolitan Police Department and commanders telling them to change their stats, the police officers, and they were changing reports. We talked about this weeks ago. Nobody listened, but it's coming to be. We talked about this also. I got called a racist. Dearborn Heights, well, it's police department in, Michigan? They had a patch design come out that, according to the Facebook post, I read it to you all. If you didn't find it, you can go back and find it and see the original statement, but they were going to be optional uniform, but they were being produced and put on uniforms that has the Dearborn Heights with the state seal. And in police, well, in script around it is Arabic. And that was not official prototype, according to Mayor Bill Bazet. And the police department had initially announced this optional patch. It wasn't described that way. If y'all remember, I read the press release. He said the idea was not fully vetted before the details were released. It only took 2 days. They posted a photo of the police patch featuring Arabic script. The city mayor said the patch was only an idea and should have never been presented as official. Police confirmed to Fox 2, which is a local Wednesday, that the department had a new optional patch the officers can wear as part of their uniform. The patch reads Dearborn Heights Police in both English and Arabic, and would have been the first in the United States to feature Arabic script. That was last week. Dearborn Heights, Middle Eastern, or North African population is roughly 39%. Neighboring Dearborn has 55%. The mayor, recently appointed by President Donald Trump as the ambassador to Susanna, it's way out there, released a statement on the police department's Facebook page Friday. The statement said the patch was an effort for internal discussion within the department, but was not put forth for consensus or further review. The original post, which said the patch was optional, has been removed. So there you go. And the funny thing is, all the press releases are coming from the mayor. Why is the police chief not speaking up about his own department? The Dearborn Heights Police Officers Association also released a statement Friday. A well-decorated senior officer of this department approached Chief Hadar with a photo of an edited Dearborn Heights police patch. The patch was dictated the Dearborn Heights police name in Arabic writing under the English. The officer's original intent of designing this patch was to have a commemorative patch for Dearborn Heights officers to wear during the month of Ramadan in support for our Muslim community. The officer's well-intentioned idea was then unilaterally distributed by Chief Hadar to the news media. Instead of implementing the patch with the original intent of commemorating the month of Ramadan, he implemented the patch as an optional patch for everyone in the department to wear year-round. This action made many of our officers feel segregated within the police department. They expressed those concerns to the chief with the potential negative repercussions it may bring upon the department. That some concerns were immediately dismissed and refuted by the chief. Since the reckless media relief by the chief, there have been countless threats and criticisms made to not only senior officers, but to the entire police department. So if you know anyone in public safety, they will tell you when the chief is silent, there's a reason. So, and according to their local, which is a union, or I don't know, it may not be a union up there, but their officers association, apparently the chief was on board with this. He was the one that sent the information out. He was the one that had it posted on the Facebook page, but nowhere to be found. So Chris says, Mayor Bill is a liar who is now spinning reality to cover his own ass. Now, I think you probably, if you did a little homework, you'd see that the chief is the one, and then silently in about 2 or 3 months, he'll probably retire. Just a wild guess. All right. Well, Trump's threats to Chicago presents let's try this again. Trump threats presents Chicago's unpopular mayor with the opportunity and risk. Well, this week's going to be fun. Chicago 8. President Donald Trump threats to send immigration and National Guard troops to Chicago could breathe new life into the sputtering political career of Brandon Johnson, unpopular mayor of a city that does not like to be pushed around. A federal incursion in Chicago, perhaps only a few days away, has given Johnson the opportunity to style himself along the lines of the California Democratic governor, Gavin Newsom. He's star-risen since he emerged as an outspoken foil of the Republican president, bringing a glimmer of hopes to its beleaguered party. Johnson's, whose approval ratings are, well, they're below 10%, that's low, has seized the moment to stand up to Trump at every turn, rejecting the president's depiction of the city as a crime hellhole. It is a role that could play well in Chicago. There is a little bit of gangster in every Chicagoan. There's no way any Chicagoan is going to allow this president to come in here and bully them, said Damari Cobb, a local Democratic consultant. But pushing back against Trump's profound, purported anti-crime crusade also carries political risks. With the president vowing to make crime an important issue in the 2026 midterms, some political analysts warn that Johnson and other Democrats must do more to convince fearful voters that federal incursions would just be needless political theater and simply pointing to favorable trends in crime statistics. For people who are afraid to walk their dog in a neighborhood at 10 at night, they don't care what the stats say. For months, Trump has been threatening to send immigration agents and National Guard troops to Chicago to combat what he calls an out-of-control crime problem, much like his unprecedented deployment in Washington, D.C. We're going in, Trump said last week, without specifying timing. Trump was speaking after the Labor Day weekend when gun violence in Chicago claimed 54 victims with 7 fatalities. Despite such headlines, Johnson and his allies have defended the mayor's record by saying violent crime, including murders, has dropped during his watch. They contend that the city suffers from an influx of illegal guns from outside its borders. Okay, who's pulling the trigger there, Mayor? It's the people having the gun, the criminals. The only one less person popular in Chicago is Trump, so it makes perfect sense for him to be standing up to him, said Christopher Berry, a political scientist. 47-year-old former county commissioner was elected in 2023, replaced by Lori Lightfoot. Oh, we remember her so well. Who was so unpopular she did not reach a runoff election in her bid for another term. But Johnson struggled to find footing governing the city. Last year, the entire school board resigned. City council unanimously rejected his plan to raise property taxes to cover budget deficits. Voters also denied his plan on real estate transfers to address homelessness. Both Lightfoot and Johnson ran on progressive agendas, in contrast to Emanuel, a moderate who served 2 terms but often clashed with the black community and was viewed as favoring business interests. Chicago is a challenge to govern, especially in these very difficult times, said political analyst Laura Washington. Its diversity is a strength, but it means a mayor must manage a slew of different constituencies, ethnicities, and political perspectives. As the political drama in Chicago unfolds, 2 other possible 2028 Democratic presidential candidates are making their own calculations. On the national stage, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has joined Johnson in defying Trump. But former Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel, while criticizing Trump's push as performative, says Democrats need to articulate their own crime reduction strategy, one that includes more police officers. He said he would advocate for more federal funds for law enforcement as an alternative to sending the Guard. Be clear, you have an agenda on how you can win this battle on crime, he said. Politics War Room. He said this on his Politics War Room podcast last month. Americans generally trust the Republican Party more than the Democrat Party to fight crime. There's a shocking stat. So, one Chicago department is so openly criticizing Johnson for acknowledging concerns about crime. Alderman Raymond Lopez has argued that Chicago should welcome federal support, including Guard troops and expanded FBI, because Chicago residents fear crime. Sadly, Illinois Democratic leadership at every level of government believes we have decreased crime and additional federal help isn't needed. Well, let's see. How many people were shot this weekend? Anybody? 19. But the crime's going down. So, Bob, I hope you don't live in Chicago. So, at least 19 people were shot, 7 of them fatally across the weekend. According to a CBS News report, this weekend's first fatal shooting occurred Friday at 9:30 on the South Michigan Avenue. 2 men got into argument, gun was produced, gun was fired, 2 men fought over it. A 31-year-old man was shot in the head and killed. The second fatal shooting occurred Saturday at 10:13 a.m. in West Polk Street. A man was standing outside when someone approached him and opened fire, shooting him numerous times and killing him. That's not crime. Come on. That's not crime. Minutes later, 10:49, a 42-year-old man found shot to death inside the home on West 93rd. The fourth was discovered 5:30 on Sunday near the 35th and Archer Chicago Transit Orange Line. 26-year-old man had been shot in the upper body and was pronounced dead at the scene. 7:38, police found a 32-year-old man on the ground in the 4800 block of West Fulton Street. He had numerous gunshot wounds and was pronounced dead at the scene. The sixth fatal shooting occurred on West Fulton Street. 32-year-old man was shot numerous times, was taken to the hospital, but he did not survive. The seventh and this weekend's shootings occurred at a gas station just after 11. They were called to the gas station at 45th and Western, where they found a 21-year-old male who had been shot in the head. He was dead at the scene. So crime's getting better. I guess it is true. Crime got better. 2 weekends ago, 54 people were shot. The stats are going in the right direction. Only 19 were shot this weekend. Yay, he's making good progress. Trump denies he's going to war with Chicago after threatening the, quote, black-led city in a jarring social media post. President Trump said on Sunday he is not going to war in Chicago after seemingly threatening to send in his newly renamed Department of War to the majority black and brown city in a Truth Social post. The griot was on the ground at the White House as Trump was boarding Marine One to attend the U.S. Open Men's Championship in New York City. While taking questions from reporters, the president denied he was going to war in Chicago after writing on Saturday, Chicago about to find out why it's called Department of War, along with a graphic that read, Chicopolis. Now, I didn't see that one. We're not going to war. We're going to clean up our cities. We're going to clean them up so they don't kill 5 people every week. And that's not war. That's common sense, stated the president, who has for weeks threatened to send in the military, the 3rd largest city to bring down crime. And of course, as we were just discussing, the governor and the mayor both argue that it's getting better and there's no crime there. There's not an epidemic of crime. So, and ironically, and I didn't cover this, but a lot of places did. If you take a little troll around X, I said troll, there are certain people that are threatening actions against the United States military on U.S. soil. I'm not covering that because I figure later this week it's probably going to pop off one way or the other, but you shouldn't threaten our military if you're an American. They're still American citizens. So, according to military.com, Republicans are eager for President Trump to expand his use of military on U.S. soil. National Guard troops patrolling the streets of U.S. cities. Weapons of war deployed against international gangs suspected of drug trafficking, military bases, and resources redirected to mass immigration. President Trump is swiftly implementing his vision of the military as an all-powerful tool for his policy goals. They make that sound like a Democrat statement. It's ground that presidents have hardly ever crossed outside of times of war, and experts say it's remaking the role of the most powerful military in the world and its relationship with the American public. Yet as Trump has dramatically stepped up his use of military force, fellow Republicans in Congress, where authorization for such action is supposed to originate, have done little but cheer him on. That's giving the president significant leeway as he raises plans to send troops next to Chicago, Baltimore, and New Orleans. And there's another one after that. And I believe New Orleans and Tennessee, who we'll discuss later, were Republican states. So we're going to see it's a historic test. Certain parts of the country, they're not going to be very nice to them when they arrive. But they're still American citizens. They're still our military. This comes to us from Axios. MAGA influencers are drawing repeated attention to the violent attacks to elevate the issues of urban crime and accuse mainstream media of undercovering shocking cases. Let me address this one real quick. I've been in public safety in three states as a firefighter or a paramedic or dispatchers, communication officer. I can tell you in almost every city I've worked, including East Tennessee, Knoxville, there was shootings, gang violence, crime, and drugs. When I say we, I'm talking about we as in public safety employees, were told. In Knoxville, we were told that we don't want this type of statistic to get out because it'll reduce tourism, which will cause us to make less money and have less resources. Well, let's be honest. You can't get much worse than $7.15 an hour for somebody that's going to come put a needle in your arm, shock your heart, and do CPR to save your life. Can't get much more cheaper. We already show up in a barely meet standard vehicle that was bid by the lowest bidder to save some penny pincher a penny. So I saw this every day. Virginia, Tennessee, Georgia, worked in all 3 states. Each county had some different message for responders telling us it didn't happen. But we were the ones washing blood out of the back of our ambulance with a garden hose at the hospital. We saw it. We saw this back in the 80s. There was a police chief in Knoxville, Tennessee, who was a good man, and he went, we're talking the early 90s here, to the city council, and he said, if you will give me the proper resources and authority, I can make Knoxville crime-free within 48 hours. That was a local version of what the president is now calling for. This isn't a new idea. You put more cops on the street, you show a force, a presence, and let it be known. Once you catch the bad guys, hopefully catch them before they rape, murder, pillage, you put them in jail, you keep them there. You don't slap them on the wrist and let them go and say it never happened. I'm here to tell you, if you don't believe me and you want to think, and I know I'm going to be pushed way down in the algorithm for this, go to your local Facebook group where there's first responders talking. You will be amazed at what really goes on around you that you don't know. Pick up a police radio. Oh, wait. So many cities and counties are encrypting those so you can't hear them. So therefore, that transparency that Obama ordered paid for radios to hide police communications from you, the public. The only ones allowed are media to have those radios, and that is at the judgment of the local county commissioner, police chief, or mayor. Even the media doesn't get access to that. So that transparency that was supposed to come through those miraculous Obama years never came. If you don't believe me, just go find and make friends with a first responder near you. You will be shocked. All right, ran over for a minute. So, I mean, this is nothing new. We in public safety have known for years they're hiding this shit. They're stepping on our throats as much as they're stepping on the lives of the citizens they've lost. So, and when you do speak out and say something, you're a troublemaker, you're labeled as a troublemaker, or you're labeled as a political advocate. I don't even know what political party that police chief was in the 90s. He may have been a Democrat. I have no idea. I didn't care. I wanted my city back. All right, I'm going to stop. I'm going to try and stop. Well, speaking of my cities, Tennessee governor on troops in Memphis, Tennessee. That's a Republican state, a Republican governor. He said nothing is off the table. I'm talking about the possibility of National Guards coming to keep the peace in Memphis. Bill Lee was asked by his news partner, why are they his news partner? Why does the governor have a news partner? WKRN on Wednesday about his stance on sending troops to the state's second largest city, following comments made by Senator Marsha Blackburn, who said she supported any crime-fighting action by the Trump administration in blue cities like Memphis. Memphis ranked number one city with the highest crime rate by FBI data. Nothing is off the table. Everything is a possibility, and we are aggressively pursuing the right strategy to lower the crime rate in Memphis, Governor Lee said. It's a great city, but it has a real challenge that needs to be addressed. We've made significant steps and will continue to do that. Lee said he remains committed to combating crime in Memphis, saying the state has increased the number of highway patrol officers in the Memphis area and is working on giving local law enforcement, as well as FBI Director Kash Patel, more information. What's important to know is that we will work with the Trump administration and are now on what is the best, now looking at what is the best way forward for Memphis. Blackburn praised the president's action on crime in a statement. She read, blue cities like Memphis need all the help they can get to combat violent crime, and I'm grateful for President Trump's tremendous work to hold leftist officials accountable for putting their own citizens at risk. Didn't I just say that? By pushing soft on crime agendas. I support the Trump administration efforts to restore law and order in lawless cities across America, and I will continue to work with the president, Attorney General Pan Bondi, as well as Director Kash Patel, to do whatever it takes to make those cities like Memphis safe again. So, Memphis mayor said he hopes the city's crime reduction efforts will curb any need for a federal intervention, though he's keeping in touch with the governor. Any call for National Guard will have much more input from the governor, and so my goal is to keep the line of communication open. Boy, the mayor's not even closing the door. Memphis Police Department reported 145 murders so far this year as compared to 175 last year. So far, Trump's strategy to deploy National Guard to cities with high crime has been used in Washington, D.C., and, well, Chicago appears to be next, so stay tuned. So Chicago and New Orleans are both in the South, and they are both Republican cities. Chris says, my stomach is going through the algorithm drop again. Warn me before you do that. Sorry, Chris. I just ooh shiny. Man, we're going to be way over in time today. I don't know if anybody saw this. This was underreported for a while till, oh, wow, they have a video and they didn't release it to the public. Why? Oh, they didn't want the family to know. What? What should Trump do about Charlotte? Yesterday, when asked about the brutal stabbing of a Ukrainian immigrant, Irina Zaruski on a Charlotte train, President admitted that he hadn't been briefed, but promised he would know all about it by the morning. And so the president didn't know about it after the Charlotte mayor refused to condemn the attacker. The city may need intervention. He's right to take it seriously. The horrific killing is not just another local crime. It's a predictable outcome of a criminal justice culture that prioritizes avoiding the appearance of racism over protecting civilians. I don't know where the hell I just went. I'm still here. That was weird. I guess I'm talking about somethings. Wendell, you're correct. They don't tell us a lot of stuff, especially that stuff. But this is stuff you need to know. So everybody, every party, every layer failed this lady. Every layer, they failed this lady. I thought this was, at first when I read this story, I didn't realize, I thought it was a gang. And I didn't zoom in on the picture. I just assumed it was another gang. This is the same guy. These are mug shots from each crime he committed and then was released on. 16. Yes, you're right. I said that word and I disappeared. Shocking. But when I first saw this, I thought this was a gang. I didn't realize until I went upon closer examination. Same person. So I'm not even going to read the statistic. I'll get shut off the internet. But it's not true. A homicide's a homicide. Your blood's still red. So anyway, if you want to find out this article, apparently the interwebs don't like me reading it. Go over to Zero Hedge. Check out what Trump should do about Charlotte and form your own opinion. So, while you're forming your own opinion, that guy who was out 16 times, well, he has a GoFundMe that people are donating money to. Yeah. Just think about that. GoFundMe has since, I think, pulled this, but it was up. People were donating money. What does that say about our society? And this wasn't anything premeditated. He came up from behind her. She didn't even see it coming. The coward did it behind her back. She didn't have a chance to even defend herself. So, yeah. But don't worry, it's everywhere. Auburn University in Alabama. Well, here's a story about a retired she's a University of Auburn professor was stabbed to death while walking her dog in broad daylight. A wooded area of Keisel Park in Auburn, Alabama. So see, it's not just Chicago. For everybody who wants to make this as a Chicago story, you can't get much further apart than Chicago, Illinois and Auburn, Alabama in any type of statistic you'd like to make. They are polar opposites. But what do they both have? Violent crime perpetuated by violent people, criminals. She drove to the park on Saturday morning for a routine with her dog. She was attacked in a wooded area. Police ascended to the park just after 2 after a 911 call reported finding her body, pronounced her dead at the scene. They began alleging that her death was by an assault. Well, her body was transported to the Alabama Department of Forensics for postmortem examination. This gentleman was taken into custody Sunday morning by officers responding to reports of a suspicious person. Reports suggest he stole her F-150 pickup truck from the scene and abandoned it at a nearby pumpkin patch. Pumpkin patch. In the South, don't they do things with kids in pumpkin patches? Criminal doused it. I wonder if kids had been there, what would have happened? Reports suggest he stole her F-150 and later abandoned it. It was recovered after his arrest. Dog was found safe and is in the care of loved ones. They are not releasing what led to the attack. It's also unclear if they knew each other or had any type of interaction in the park, or if she was targeted at random. So she was the University of Auburn, Alabama. She was a veterinarian instructor, retired. And she was stabbed to death senselessly for the crime of walking her dog and having a Ford pickup. So, oh, Chris, I could make such a bad political statement with that one. For all people who think violent crime just doesn't really happen, they need to wake up. Exactly. You cannot get further apart than Auburn, Alabama, Charlotte, maybe a halfway point to Chicago, but you can't get more polar opposite. So Wendell says, I have a friend that is a policeman, and in his office recently had a report of something hitting a house, knocked pictures off the wall in other houses nearby, having strange things. Well, keep us updated, Wendell. If you find a story, let me know. So, all right, we got to hurry up. We're going to run out of time here. Trump orders 300 Hyundai plant workers sent back to South Korea. And apparently South Korea had their feelings hurt about this over the weekend. He wants other countries to respect our immigration policies. And also, they made a statement. It was kind of hidden there. You have to dig for it. But in other countries, when you arrest people like this, you send them back to their country. Some countries do some homework on this. They're called political prisoners and kept. I'm not saying we should go break other countries' laws, but we're certainly not doing the same thing they are. Well, ICE is launching Operation Patriot 2.0, starting in Massachusetts, and they're targeting criminal illegal aliens. So that's underway. And according to the ICE director, we will hunt you down. Patriot 2.0 is going on in sanctuary cities like Boston. It's underway as we speak. This came out from outside of the country so that everybody knows that I have at least a little fairness in my reporting. The Irish Star, comatose Trump sparks health fears after seeming to fall asleep at the U.S. Open. Donald Trump has sparked fresh speculation about the state of his health as he is accused of looking weak and comatose while appearing to fall asleep at the U.S. Open. The president was met by thunderous boos, which, according to some reports, they were told to mute out over the televised broadcast. And the 79-year-old's first attendance at the U.S. Open since 2015, where he presented himself and Melania during the presidential campaign. This time, Melania was not with him, so he watched the final from the Rolex box alongside his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and granddaughter, Arabelle, as well as White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, Attorney General Pam Bondi, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, the U.S. envoy to meet Steve Witkoff. So go over I don't know how they score tennis, so you'll just have to forgive me on that one. But supposedly, Trump was dozing off during the appearance. So I don't know if he's a tennis fan or if he went just to make a statement. Maybe he doesn't really like tennis. Also, New York Times leaked an article that wasn't supposed to be out there about SEAL Team 6. Apparently, a risky operation. In 2019, we may or may not have violated another country's sovereignty. So, and we may or may not have aborted the mission because we may or may not have assisted some fishermen into stumbling overboard. So, yeah. And during the New York Times leak, well, it turns out it wasn't the first time. And the leak is pretty credible. If you go read the story, they even talk about equipment that we didn't even know we had. Too many subs. Did anybody know we had mini submarines? Give them about 100 yards offshore so they can swim. They make a U-turn. Apparently, that's where the noise was generated by the submarines making a U-turn so that they're facing outward to haul ass. Fishermen were fishing in the area and may have stumbled overboard. And, well, our submarines decided to get out of there. So there you go. All right. I won't go over this because I know a lot of my fans are bored, but it was trending over the weekend. NFL started, got off to a bang. It ended last night with a great game. So you can go check out the sports of your favorite team. Both my teams, Washington Commanders and Tennessee Titans, were victorious. Tonight, I believe it's the Bears and Seattle. So you can go check out all the stats on your team over on the NFL. And the last sports stat I'll kind of just skim over because it was trending. Well, the AP college rankings were out. Georgia came in at number 6. Ohio State is number 1. Penn State number 2. LSU 3. Oregon 4. The U, Miami, is 5. Georgia 6. Skip on down all the way down to 15, where you have Tennessee up 7 spots. And then below that is Bama at 19th. So coming in at the very bottom is Auburn and Missouri, respectively. So, all right, there's that. I skimmed over that real quick, didn't I? All right, let's do this. We got 20-ish minutes. Daily operations briefing. Let me update this to see if FEMA they were allergic like the president was if they woke up because of that report. Oh, wait, no, we don't. Oh, wait a minute, maybe we do. Hold on. Let me hit this little X to see what happens. We could have a document summary. Well, let's do the document summary. What does it tell us? Oh, I probably got to pay for that. I don't care about all that. I want to know why we don't have a daily presidential briefing. It's Sunday. Come on, FEMA, wake up. But we don't. Huh. All right, well, we'll just kind of make it up as we go. Fire weather in the northern Intermountains. That's going to be a problem. Hurricane Kiko. Sunday was a 3. She's currently a Cat 2, and she will be going north of the island, probably as a tropical storm. So this is already old news. She's strengthened, but she's back down to I think a 2, and she's going to go well north of the city. There's nothing in the Atlantic, and there's number 1 disturbance in the Eastern Pacific. The weather forecast, well, for Monday, which is, let's just skip that. The weather outlook is important because that is pretty much Idaho, as long as the Washington, Oregon border. When do you think they will catch? Number 40, was he 44? I don't know, Wendell. I don't know. I think criminals need to go to jail. All right, so let's look at the president's official schedule. Today at 9 a.m. was the in-town pool camera. 10:10, the president delivered remarks to the White House Religious Liberty Commission. That's all that's officially on the books. We see over the weekend, if we go back and look, he departed and went to Queens, which, well, we know where he went to see a game. Or is it called a game? Match. And he came in at LaGuardia, and then he left through LaGuardia. So he went to the U.S. Open in Flushing, New York. So, and then on Saturday, well, it appears that he went over to his golf club, enjoyed the day. So There you go. He was in town Saturday and Friday after we got off the air. Let's see if anything happened real quick. They canceled event signing at 2 o'clock. Made an announcement and executive orders again at 4. And they had a dinner. And the White House called the lid, meaning they kicked everybody out so everybody could go to sleep. The world could go on at 8:45. All right, so live updates from WRC Channel 4. I'm going to check my bookmarks because they aren't all updated. We had some more info than this. Let's see. Trump administration, Supreme Court's lets Trump fire federal trade commissioner member. Okay. And I believe the Supreme Court also allowed him to do more in Los Angeles. They did uphold E. Jean Carroll's $83.3 million defamation suit. And 1 hour ago, what is the auto pen? What you need to know? It's a mechanical tool used to reproduce signatures for everything from book signings and diplomas to presidential orders. And let's see, we talked about that. Chicago crackdown is not a war, but common sense. And Trump asked for relief for the Supreme Court for an emergency order, keeping billions of dollars in foreign aid frozen. He's announcing a prayer initiative tied to the nation's 250th anniversary. Well, that'll go over well. Man accused of trying to, unalive people. He's going to get his trial underway today, and he's representing himself. Good luck with that. Poll released most Americans oppose political parties drawing election lines. Interesting. So, in other words, the citizens are rejecting all this. Trump's job ratings stay negatives. Americans express strong support for vaccines. Okay. And Florida's plan to drop school vaccines rules won't start for 90 days. You can read the article to find out more. Trump gave a last warning to Hamas to accept a hostage deal. Well, that's not good. You tell them this is the last warning we're going to give you. When Trump has gone to church during his second term? Well, during remarks today at the Museum of the Bible, he emphasized the importance of listening to people of faith and dedicated part of the event to criticizing his predecessor. Well, they all do that. So he's most recently been seen going to church January 20th and 21st around the inauguration. And that was when the president urged him to have mercy upon people who he was scared of. And the White House posts links to America Prays website. We'll have to check that out tomorrow. And we covered this last week. Breaking news. He is going to a Yankees-Tiger game in New York City on 9/11. Well, security will be tight there. Supreme Court lifts restrictions on LA immigration stop sets after agents swept up U.S. citizens. So Supreme Court cleared the way for federal agents to conduct sweeping immigration operations in L.A. It's a victory for his administration. So they can go forward and catch bad guys. All right. I saw this and didn't bother to talk about it, but Trump celebrated a West Point alumni group canceling Tom Hanks award ceremony. Mixed emotions on that one. Tom Hanks's coffee and some of the other things that he has done has helped American troops. So I got kind of mixed one on that one. All right, so there you go. If you want to find out more, read the whole article about what are the auto pen or what was going on with Trump and Tom Hanks, you can either Google the news or go over to WRC and check it out. The national weather for this week, let's kind of briefly, remember, I'm just a pundit. I'm not a meteorologist. So today's forecast, well, it's going to rain. No, well, it is from the Great Lakes down through the Mexican border with some intense thunderstorms in Kansas and Oklahoma and maybe northeastern Texas. That band is going to move across the country for the next couple days. It's raining spotty and a little snow in certain places. You see that in Wyoming, Colorado, and in Washington. My friend hasn't sent me pictures of the snow yet. I'll have to get on her. but it's all spotty. Now, there was several frost warnings for today, and well, tomorrow, that would be Tuesday, we see snow in Washington, Oregon, probably up around Crater Lake. I have one place I want to go, Northern California, to higher elevations as well. We see it in Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado. So it's coming, people. Winter is coming. Tomorrow's going to have spotty showers everywhere from Boston down through the Gulf, back around to Texas, and across the country. And day 3, well, pretty much more of the same, except for it's a little warmer and there won't be as much snowfall. I keep looking to see if there's any up in the Northeast city. Let's look at the chances for tornadic activity for today. We can never say never, but there is a very little chance. Maybe some winds, high winds, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas from associated storms. And those storms could get windy and stormy enough to cause hail. So if you're in those areas, be weather aware. And by the way, speaking of weather aware, I need to do a video. I'm going to wait for one more product to come. I've paid for all these products. So when I do the rating, I'm going to do a video and post it on flashlights, because I'm always encouraging everyone to have a flashlight. And I don't mean just a big one you have on your office desk. Have one nearby, have one in a pocket or something, along with a pocket tool that has a sharp, pointy edge that you could cut things if you needed to. So those are certain items you should always have. I won't be able to do a sharp, pointy thing review. If you're interested, I can give you some information, but I can't do it online. I'm already down the algorithm enough. Be warned, Chris. But I will be glad to do the one on flashlights, because I think for under $20, something you carry around that is that important in your pocket. So, all right. So I'll be doing that as soon as this other product gets here. I'm waiting on it. Mrs. Sportcat doesn't know I've got it yet. She says I have a flashlight problem, but I'm doing this for you guys in the name of research. Just wait till I try and justify buying a bunch of weather radios. Anybody wants to make donations, let me know. I'll be more than glad to take them, but I will be doing ratings on them as well. I should get them over before the snow starts. All right, well, let's run through this. We go through and we see Minnesota special weather warning. That's up there. In Kansas, severe thunderstorm. Puerto Rico, you've got some flooding issues going on. And let's see. Talk about all the water. I really need to get a good link for the Coast Guard so I can discuss that with you all, so that you understand what these water advisories, warnings, and watches are. And frost in New York, not the city, New York State. Dense smog, that's going to be pretty much affecting Nevada, California. And that winds coming off the lake's going to make it be worse. So, but we'll kind of hit on that in a minute. And severe thunderstorm. Is that Alaska? Where is that? Oh, that's the I always forget that. That's the islands. Okay. Still Alaska. Severe thunderstorm warning out in Alaska. All right. We don't see that often. Let's see. Rip currents along the Atlantic coast. Flooding with the rains along the coast. And let's see. Kansas and Florida flood warnings. Storm warning in Alaska. All right. I'm not seeing anything too severe here. These are all mostly beach and water advisories with some things thrown in there. Frost advisory in New York. Special weather statement in Alaska. It's probably for the thunderstorms. And the air quality up in the Northwest is going to be horrible due to the fires. So we got next here. Look here at the rain falling currently. Let me minimize that. Move this over. Looks like, I thought, did I push you out of the way? Go away. Looks like most of the severe rain right now is falling in Wichita, Topeka, back down towards Oklahoma City in the United States. If you're a coastline resident from New England down to Jacksonville, well, there's not really anything onshore, but if you get down in Florida from Daytona Beach, almost down to West Palm Beach, there's some light rain activity, as well as on the West Coast side around Tampa, Sarasota area. Texas, Corpus Christi. There's some offshore rain. Good Lord. Let's go to, it doesn't look like any other rain in the U.S. Look down under real quick and we see, well, don't see much rain at the moment. Maybe a little bit maybe just small showers just west of what is that? What city is that? Sorry guys, I don't know this. Volcano? It's north of there, west of Debo. I'm sorry, I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, ladies and gentlemen. And we see down here, I should just get a map and just draw on it. Wagga Wagga. Can I say that on the internet? Wagga Wagga. North of you, you've got some spotty showers in Wagga Wagga. Otherwise, most of the continent. Alice Springs is getting a little bit of tiny shower up there. And down off the southern coast, there's some rainfall coming on. I've got to get, anybody want to just help me learn language or town names so I don't sound like some stupid redneck from Tennessee. Oh, wait a minute, I am. Look at the severe weather real quick. This doesn't have my, I'm gonna have to go find that again. Why does it not have my bookmarks? Because I don't have the one, now I'm annoyed. I don't have the one that shows all the watches and warnings around the country. All right, so we see up in the West Coast, whoa, zoom back up. West Coast, we see in Washington, air quality alert. And you get down into Nevada, some around the lakes there, some advisories with wind advisory. And then from San Jose, San Francisco, down to the Baja, have to worry about some smoky conditions. And that storm that we were talking about in the U.S., I'm probably making y'all dizzy here, is got a pretty good little kick to it. And it is right now just tearing up in Kansas, just west of Metro Kansas. So if you're in that area, be weather aware. I don't see, there is some purple in there, but I don't see anything besides for some flood watches. That's an interesting design in the storm, isn't it? Wendell? What could possibly be making this, Wendell? It's interesting. I'll leave it there so you can pause it. Timestamps right here. You can go look at your radar app and see. It's an interesting break in the clouds there. Very interesting break. It's almost as if it's put together. Huh. All right, well, it's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that on radar. I'm not conspiracy theorying, but I don't think that looks normal. Y'all tell me what you think. Let's go see what it looks like on the lightning map. And you can't really make it out on the lightning map. Now, do I have layers here? Settings. Full screen. Thunder. I can have thunder map? Oh, okay. Rain radar. Let's turn that radar on. And we'll zoom in. And, of course, this is a different type of radar, but I don't see those peculiar lines. Interesting. All right, look at the power outages real quick. Sorry, we skipped through that. Doesn't look like there's any significant power outages in the U.S. at the moment. The heat risk, well, most of America is a code yellow today, except for some of these cities on the West Coast, specifically down in Arizona and Southern California. You are code orange. And in Florida, a lot of your areas, Miami, and then back around towards Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville are some code orange as well. So be prepared. All right, we're going to cover the rest of this kind of quickly. I can run over a few minutes. Look and see, where is the hottest area right now? Well, right now in the U.S., the hottest is 99 in Phoenix. It's going to be a scorcher out in the southwest. And we see a cooling starting to come down from the north. So if you're up here in the northeast, you're currently in the upper 60s. So you're feeling good right about now. We see here is a drought map, and we see that pretty much the West Coast, west of the Mississippi, is suffering from drought-like conditions. Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, all the way down to the Four Corners is really affected by it. And then again at the border. So, all right, well, I want to get out of these things real quick because this was breaking news. Salmonella, the CDC is saying there's an outbreak that it's linked to eggs, and they're trying to let everyone know and get more attention called to it so it could possibly be some type of outbreak. keep your eyes on that. And certain areas of the country, which are on the west, are already starting to mandate that there could be a potentially coffee virus that's making its way through our country, and we may have to start wearing those pesky things that go over our nose and mouth. But if we see this map, this is the COVID-19 map. 93,497,149 people as of 8/29 have been diagnosed with COVID SARS type 2. And do your homework on that one. Don't know if there's a lot of things that'll stick you and help. We do know that there's a certain thing you can stick in your nose. But as we see, they're trying to make the case up in the Northeast that there is P-level events of this. Down in Florida, they're trying to make a P-level event out of that. And you get over here to the West Coast, and the governor there is starting to make a P-level type of event. So remember this graphic, because here in a few minutes it's going to get interesting. We see all these areas in the Northeast where it's really bad, down in Florida where it's really bad, and out on the West Coast where it's really bad. Now, south of the Appalachia, to be fair, from Maine all the way down to the Gulf of America, it's pretty consistent. Remember that. We're going to talk about this again here in just 1 second. But as of September 5th, recent level, the only state was Louisiana, where it was moderate. A lot of the other southern states, well, it was relatively low. You get up into the Northeast, and this map, which is more updated than the other, shows that it's very low, including out here on the west. The only case is Wyoming, where some data could be made questionable because, well, it's the population. So remember that. Low, moderate, nothing. Okay. Then let's look at this map. In case you've forgotten, since we started talking about these type of events, we found out that they test our poo water to see what kind of little squirrely worms and bugs and things are in it. Well, very high. Very high. California, Nevada, very high. Texas, very high. Louisiana, very high. Alabama, very high. Florida, very high. The Carolinas, very high. Get up here and get into, Connecticut, very high. Indiana, very high. Idaho, Utah, very high. All right, remember that. This is for that C one. Just remember that. Very highs. Remember all those very highs, because here in a minute, we're going to show you some more of their information. We'll take a real quick look at the flu, by the way. It appears that it's relatively low, but it's coming. It's going to be flu season. And RSV, very low. Very low. RSV, respiratory virus. Okay, all right. Let's go back now. Oh, wait, I have that same map. And look, it was very high. Look at the map. Their own numbers. Their own numbers. You're using their site. See the difference? I can't talk about it, but if I can tell you there's a lot less dots than they thought there was. I'm not arguing over here on the East Coast. These dots aren't more significant, and there'd be possibly a case to be made that there could be a lot more dots. So, since the lower ratings are not reporting everything, no. One of their sources of information conflicts with another source of information from their own site. All right, cool. Let's go to another map on their own site. You can see it up here. It's a Charlie Delta Charlie band. So influenza. Oh, look, that's pretty good. Everybody's pretty good. Minimal to almost nothing. We got some, Tennessee, it's starting to come up, maybe a little bit, but it's not significant. This is for the I one. The flu. You can go and make your case. Well, the flu's not bad, so that's good news, right? The flu's not bad, right? Everybody gets upset if the flu's bad. Why did I zoom out? All right, so let's see what else we have here. All right, let's cover measles real quick. I think I made my point on that. Measles case that they said there could be an E word for. Oh, to begin the summer, remember how It's a horrible. Total cases, the USA, 1,431. Now, I don't know about all these statistics or not, but we did talk about the causation was an area that was overpopulated with populations that weren't from where the populace was. 12% required hospitalization with only 3. Remember, it was going to be so high. We were going to get in triple digits with that. Remember that when I first started doing the show? We're going to be in triple digits with this. This is terrible. We aren't. Air quality. Whoa, got a little too far zoomed out there. We're running over here. Air quality. Most parts of the U.S. pretty good, except for California and Nevada. From Carson City. This is all from that wildfire right there. We reported on the wildfire last week. It has grown. So all of this is horrible air quality from pretty much San Francisco east, almost to Utah, Medford, you're code orange in Oregon, all the way up to, well, almost Portland. This is all following higher elevations in Washington, well, along the Cascades. And then up here in the red, this is from a fire, smoke from a fire causing that. But if you're on the West Coast right there, in that area of Carson City, Nevada, down to Las Vegas, back over to San Francisco, San Jose, Sacramento, even Bakersfield. Horrible air quality due to the smoke from the forest fire. They're still working to contain it. Unfortunately, we didn't get a report from the FEMA today on what type of percentage they were making, but they haven't gained much ground. All right, well, this is loading slow, so I'm going to just move on. And we look at the smoke map and see, this is like exactly like I said, that section right there from Nevada is just get all from that wildfire. This is all from the fire burning here in the Sierra Nevadas. And then, of course, getting to the Cascades, it's blending in with the smoke from Canada and also from out of the Midwest blowing down towards the southern area. Look at the big, beautiful globe. Well, it's going to be windy on the East Coast today. And we have that little front spinning up there where we were talking about severe thunderstorms off the Alaskan coast. How fast is that going? It's going 52 kilometers an hour. I guess I should change it to see what that is in miles per hour. Let's go see if we can zoom in and see anything from that storm that may have been causation for the weird radar. Don't see anything. All right, let's take a real quick look. Oh, go away. Look at here in the Atlantic coming off the African coast. That dust is, well, it's helping, but the warm part of the ocean is still available. We still got just a little bit of time before we get out of this. I think it's November 1st is when we stop worrying about the hurricane season. So, all right, Space Prediction Center, all greens. It was bad over the weekend. There were significant earthquakes and some tsunami alerts, and so it was pretty crazy. We see the hurricane here. She's just kind of teetering out. She's going to go just to the north of the island. So the island may see some residual winds, but the bulk of the storm will be to the north. Let's see. Wind, flood, wildfire. We've talked about wildfires. We can't really get specific on certain ones, but the area. And in India, it sparked outrage and possibly a bug spreading. Look at the latest earthquake, 3.7 in Western Turkey and 4.4 in Western Turkey. And that's been it for the past 12. 4.6 in Afghanistan, 5.4 off the coast of Ecuador, but that's 3 days ago. It's the beginning of the weekend. So, all right. We look at the interactive map here with earthquake and volcanic data. And let's see, I need to just go straight to this one because we're running out of time. Great Sitkin, you are code orange for your volcanic area. Shishaldan, I'm probably pronouncing that one wrong, but if you're there, you know. Code yellow, code orange in Kilauea. So be weather aware of that. Let's see. We got to wrap it up here soon because we are over a few minutes. No tsunami warnings, advisories, watches, or threats around the world. That's always good news. We are not going to be able to talk about the 24 hours of New England fire news reports, but we can just say safely that they had several very large fires in the Northeast. And we won't really have a whole lot of time to cover events that are transpiring from criminal activity in the United States, or it could be something else. But you can go to News Live and check this out for yourself if you're interested. We don't have a lot of time to go over. Why did it zoom there of all places? Air traffic. We can kind of take this out some and look and see if there's anything interesting going on. It's no call sign. It's a Mexican aircraft. That's interesting to see. And let's see, they're hauling some equipment around. And a lot of equipment. I'm just checking to see if we see anything for those thirsty, fast, speedy ones. And I don't see any off the top of my head. Not saying they're not there. They just may not be talking. Well, there we go. There's one. There's one. It come out of Knoxville. Yeah, that's a refueling section. So somewhere in the area from Knoxville to the northwest up to, St. Louis. Remember, each one of these thirsty little tank drivers can supplement up to 30 fast, speedy ones. And so you can go. This is all public data. I'm not giving anything away that's top secret clearance or anything like that for anybody that messages me. Now look, it didn't start talking until it came off of the coast of Myrtle Beach. So whatever that is, interesting. Can't track it to find out. And this one comes from across the drink. Way over across the drink. We're in Germany? No, London, Heathrow. And it's probably going in down in Florida somewhere. Well, there we go. Looky there. We have one, a P8. We know they like to do the old game where B12. They're out there looking to see. So that's interesting. It's off of the East Coast. They're going from Jacksonville down to Miami. And that's just a tanker. But it's an interesting flight pattern they took. Okay. It's because they stayed low for some reason. Interesting. All right. But they came out of, where did they come out of? They came out of Fort Wayne. I'm going to assume they came out of Fort Wayne, and then their altitude went really, really, once they got down off of the coast, got really, really low over the Gulf of America. Kept pretty, we don't even know the ground speed. Interesting. All right, well, at that altitude, probably just enough to stay afloat. And that was the P8. And is that the only P8? They're not going to tell us about that one. Oh, look at here. What do we have here? This here coming out of, where did it come out of? It come out of St. Louis. It's made it all the way down here to Savannah. Nice little area where it's refueling things that are thirsty off of the East Coast there. Interesting timing while there's a flight coming in like this, for one, from UK, from the Royal Air Force. And then there's this here that's playing games. All right, interesting. So, all right, we're going to get out of here. Let's look over here on the other coast and see if I spy anything. So, and no, Australia, you have your military up training off of our west coast. All right, good for you guys. And I have no idea what that aircraft is. I'm just going to be perfectly honest. I have no idea what that aircraft is. That's a first one for me. All right. So, there it is. It's from the UK. All right. I have no idea what that is. So, all right, let's get out of here, folks. I've babbled on too long. Let's see. No new officers down, and firefighters. We'll have to talk about that because there were some updates from some that came out of, both coasts. So we could try and talk to that, but we're up to 58 line of duty firefighters deaths in 2024. Where did it go? Right there. All right. So I will be back tomorrow at our regularly scheduled time to do our show. And let's see, Wednesday, we have the it's no longer the paranormal guys, Sportcat show. Wednesday, I believe we have 2 guests, and one of them is a psychic. I'm trying to think who the other one is. I can't remember off the top of my head, but anyhow, I got 2. Oh, it's a filmmaker. That's right. So the a psychic for the first hour. In the second hour, we have a filmmaker that is, he's got a good movie he's making right now. So we'll do both of those Wednesday night. And then, of course, throughout the rest of the week, we will be doing the 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock show. Normally, we're running way over. Thank you to Radio X in Australia, Dare Talk Radio, and Yerg's Radio for allowing me to go over. And then I've got to get permission from both of them due to the football season starting. If you follow us with the you're welcome, Wendell. I love you, brother. If you follow the CBS TV show Big Brother, because of the football games at the NFL, they had to change their show dates. There's a huge conspiracy. We haven't been talking about it, but we're going to do a Tuesday night show and a Thursday night show, possibly a Friday night show. I don't know what I'll have to talk to my 2 co-hosts, but we'll have that. And then, like I said, next week, we're going to be taking a timeout so the kids can come torture me and Mrs. Sportcat. So she said something about having plenty of margarita. I'm not sure what she meant. So Denise, you're welcome. Thank y'all for tolerating me on Monday. It's been a crazy one, but I'm awake now and I haven't even finished my 3rd Mountain Dew. I'll finish that. I still got to do a show for the Thin Line Rock Station for my lunch show over there tomorrow. Everybody have a great day. You can shoot me a message if you want in any of the chats here, or sending me an email, sportcat@protonmail.com. If you want to send me a voice message, I accept them as well. Speakpipe.com/sportcat. And I think that's about the best ways to get in touch with me. So all those will be in the show notes. Everybody have a great day. I'm going to get out of here. Wendell's driving me crazy. It's a short drive. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks, guys and gals. I appreciate you putting up with me. I'll see y'all tomorrow.